Hey everybody, what's going on? What's going on? Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Aiyana Ma'at, and this here who I have with me, and I am so happy. We were just hanging out, having breakfast, and now we're about to have a courageous conversation. This is the fabulous, the awesome, the amazing, my little sister, Samira Wiley.
Hi.
Why are you gonna do the extra baby? Hi.
Hi, everyone.
So this is Samira Wiley, y'all, and I'm so happy because, this is an opportunity that I have and that all of you who are listening have to really kind of get a sense of another person's experience, another person's path and their process. And that's what I'm all about. My sister knows that, I'm a therapist. This is what I do. But I really, really wanted to do this conversation and conversations like these so that people understand that like we all are moving on our path. So whether it's in our relationships, whether it's in career or our own sense of self, like how we look at ourselves, how we see ourselves, what we're trying to do, we all are competent and confident in some way. And we got some skills and some things that we can do like nobody else can do. And at the same time, sometimes it's a struggle.
Struggle.
It's a struggle sometimes, you know what I'm saying? With a C, SCRUGGLE, and I think why I've been compelled to focus on this area for women specifically is because in this age of looking at, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and social media, and I'm guilty. I mean, I've gotten caught up. Everybody's posing. When this is done, I'm gonna say, let's take a picture so I can use this image. We're gonna be like, cute, right? We're gonna do that, right? But in this age of that, like, it's easy to get caught up. And even in counseling folks, I've, had folks say, I think I might want to take a break so that I can just focus on myself and my own sense of what I'm doing and how I'm moving forward, because I get distracted. And frankly, I get a little bit depressed sometimes because everybody is fly and just doing the damn thing all the time. And I'm like, we struggling too. Everybody has a little something that they're dealing with. So that's what the point of this is all about. It's about having courageous conversation. And of course, I want everyone to know who doesn't know. If you don't know, then you've been under a rock, who you are. So if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, your path, your history. Tell us.
My name is Samira Wiley. I am a professional actor or actress. I've had a really amazing, I think, career sort of rise in the last 5 years or so. I graduated from the Juilliard School for Acting. And after that, I sort of had like little bit parts here and there in movies and, a little, play a nurse in a TV show. But I was mainly, supplementing my income doing like bartending and things like that until I got an audition for this show called Orange is the New Black.
Orange is the New Black.
Where I was on that show for about 4 years. I played a character named Poussey Washington. R.I.P. And then, since the success of that show was pretty profound. It really permeated the culture and our society in a way that I never thought was going to happen. And then since that show, I've been blessed to have joined another show called The Handmaid's Tale, which we just won 8 Emmys.
Oh my God.
And I personally was nominated for an Emmy for Best Supporting Actress in a Drama. And that's the first time anything like that has ever happened for me. So
would you say you're successful?
I think.
Do you think maybe
I
just
think
a little bit?
at this point I can say I've had a successful career.
And so, okay, so there's so many things just popping in my head, and we're going to get to a lot in the short amount of time that we have with you. But the big thing that just popped in my head is, first of all, for those who don't know, this is my little sister. And so, as I have seen you move in your path, and I've seen you kind of move along, as time has gone on, I'm like, yo, like I'm realizing, and people may not realize this, when you are a family member to somebody who is rising, and particularly when you're becoming more known, right? And the fame is coming, and, people are, like stopping me or commenting on my videos like, are you Samira Wiley's sister? Right? When that's happening, I'm like, oh, like Samira is my little sister, and you are brilliant. You are amazing. You are wonderful. And she's my little sister. And so, and the beauty of that is that, I can see in my family, we can get to revel in your success and kind of look at what you're doing. But I'm always at the same time still looking at like, mirror. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I get clued into how impactful it is, because I'm still on the outside looking in, I'm still not living your life, how impactful this has been, like this path that you've been on when I'm with you, when I get to have more conversation with you and stuff like that. So all of that to say, y'all know I'll be talking a lot. Okay. All of that to say, how do you feel, what was it that Orange did for you? Being a part of Orange is the New Black, how did that really change your life? And what did that do? Because I feel like that opportunity and that experience kind of put you up and out on the map and in the world in a different way. And so how did that change your life?
Well, I think, the talents that we all have, our unique talents, so like we've had them our whole lives. It's not like they go away. It's not like all of a sudden when I got Orange is the New Black, oh snap, now she can act. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like all of a sudden I got something.
Yeah.
I was the same person. I was the same person before and after, but it's something that show did, which it gave me exposure. It gave me the opportunity to come into people's homes on, through the vehicle of Netflix, for people to be able to, and not just me and a lot of my castmates were new. When I say new, I mean, we weren't established in the Hollywood or anything like that. We were newcomers.
Right.
And we all of a sudden got thrust into the public consciousness in this way that was really overwhelming, honestly, for me in terms of the going out and having people recognize you and things like that. That was overwhelming. But on the career side, it really just started to open doors for me.
Yeah.
It was, opening doors that were locked to me before. And I think it just made other people recognize things that your family already knows about you, just like what you said about me being wonderful and brilliant, all the wonderful things you said. It just seems like with that show, other people were able to experience that, not just for me, but with a lot of my castmates as well. And that show, it really changed my life. Yeah. It really did, in every single way possible. I met my now wife on the show.
Yes, you
did. It was the first time that I ever got to work with so many women of power, in positions of power. You had women in front of the camera, behind the camera, producers, directors. So that was really eye-opening for me. How else did the show change my life? In every single way possible, really.
Well, you know what's interesting, because again, thinking about this process that I talk about all the time in terms of overcoming, right? Like that we're always in some way we're succeeding, but we're also being presented with challenges along the way as we succeed. So I think a lot of times people, and certainly, I didn't really have any awareness, but now having you have, just gone into this place of celebrity, people think like, oh, you've arrived, you got to this place where now, you are big time, and you've got access now that you hadn't had before. You have opportunities, you are established, and the talent that was always there is now been firmly cemented in a lot of people's minds that matter in terms of being able to help you get opportunities, right? So that's big. But what you just said, which is the stuff that people don't really always pay attention to or really even know about. You said it was also overwhelming. Yeah. Even kind of like coming into this place where people knew you and would see you out on the street and they could say something to you or whatever. Like it was good, but then it was overwhelming. Talk a little bit to us about that. Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, I think in the beginning it was so exciting. you know, to be that's what I think, like, you know, anyone who wants to be an entertainer, actor, something like that, that you know that one of the things that can come with it is fame.
Yeah.
And so it was really exciting to be walking down the street and have someone know my face, know my name. It felt like, oh gosh, like this is, you know, this is what Beyonce must feel like when like it ain't nothing like what she feel like.
A little bit, yes.
But you know, when that starts to, when it starts to become every day, when it starts to really sort of, the lines blur from where is the line between my public self, which I freely give away, and my private self, which I do not want to give to anyone. It's the part that you want to keep close to you, the part that you can't give away to everyone, the part that's sacred. And people sometimes want to encroach on that part, especially when you are, you know, a famous person, a celebrity. It's because we are living in a time of access. All people need to do is push a button, and they get whatever they wanted, you know what I mean, just from pushing that one button. You go online, you type in somebody's name, you find out exactly who they're sleeping with, exactly. Where like, I don't want everyone to know all those things about me. So it became overwhelming, and it became a little bit invasive. And there's that line that you walk, because how can you stay grounded and remember where your blessings come from? Remember how blessed you are. Remember that, like, to be thankful for this moment, but also remember that, like, even though I'm here, even though I've been blessed with all these things, it doesn't mean that I have to give all of myself away to everyone.
That's a whole, that's a class, a workshop, a seminar, a sermon. That's everything. I mean, what you just said was big, Samira, because it's like, you know, this dance, I guess you have to constantly do it. And all of us can identify with that, like getting more, gaining more, being happy and feeling blessed. And then in some way having to make sure that you don't fall into a place of feeling guilty for having success, or like for wanting to put a boundary, or saying this is great, but it's like too much candy, too much sugar. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me a second, because I need my own sense of self to kind of thrive in this. And so, was that a struggle for you early on? Like, how do you deal with that?
You know, I had my wife's father. He was having. He was like on a date with someone, and she was telling him this story about how she saw some famous celebrity, I don't remember, and she went to go take a picture with them, and they told her, no, not right now, or something like that. And she was so incensed because of it. She felt that was that person's job. Because you chose this, you chose to be a celebrity, when that's actually not how it works.
Don't choose to be.
I think that can be, you know, for anyone's life. It's not like you chose to be whatever people make you out to be. You just chose to follow your path. You know what I mean? And a lot of times I feel like you can be following your path, whether it's you and doing your work, or me and doing the work that I'm doing. And people expect certain things, or people think that you chose that because of this. We're like, no, I don't owe you. I think you were saying that I don't owe you something because of the success that I've received. That, like, about feeling guilty for it. That I used to feel that like, well, I'm only here because of you. Right. You have made me into the person that I am, when really that's not true. You know, I'm not who I am because of all of you. I am who I am because of my creator and who exactly I am. But it's I don't know. I feel like I'm like rambling now, and like not
no,
really.
You're not. You're making excellent points.
Okay. But yeah, it is. It's about you have to have a strong sense of self, and not being able to have that. It's easy. The wind will blow and you'll go like this. Right. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to, with some kind of grace, stand still in in who I am. You know what I mean? And the struggle of who I am and figuring out exactly who I am, that's been a struggle in its own journey in and of itself. Trying to stay true to, because there's one thing of trying to stay true to who you are, but how can you stay true to who you are if you don't really know who that person is anyway?
Let me just say this. Let me say this. What you are saying is so important, and I want everybody who's listening to really pay attention to this, because this is the thing, is that we want to be able to stay true to who we are, and we want to make sure that we remember where we came from. And let me just pause and just say, my sister you do a phenomenal job. When we are out and about, Samira, you become like super finesse, like you know how to do this thing. We're out. And so in terms of just dealing with, folks coming up, you do such a good job. You know how to set a boundary, but do it lovingly. You know how to say, like, give me a second, or I'm with my sister, or let me just do this. And you come back to people. Like, you'll remember when we were at the restaurant not that long ago when you were last here, and we were walking out and you went back to the person and was like, hey, you remembered them, right? Like, those things matter to people, but you didn't allow their priority at the moment to overtake our time and to overtake your family time, you know? So I think that I just want to say that you do a phenomenal job. And sometimes, people do, as you talked about, earlier, people get upset. And that's going to happen when you say, wait a minute, let me see. I want to figure out how to make sure I take care of myself. You know what I mean? And so that might mean I have to set a boundary, or I have to do something that's going to, be a problem for somebody else. But I have to be willing to do that, to be able to do that. And as long as I'm doing it consciously, compassionately, and clearly, and that's what we're really supposed to be doing. And that's the piece that can sometimes be hard for folks, is having the courage to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Just like doing what we're supposed to be doing. Now, back to the other thing you said, like trying to figure out who we are.
Right.
Right. And like, making sure that we're staying true to that. But then we don't really know fully.
Yeah.
Look, I'm tired of fakers. Let me just say that. I'm tired of fakers and perpetrators. People a lot of times often try to perpetrate this is who I am and I've got it all together. And the art of overcoming in the group that I started is all about these contradictions that we all have. Yes, I'm competent and I'm confident, and I'm nervous and unsure and uncertain.
Yes.
Like, it's all of that.
Yes.
And so being able to acknowledge that, which I feel like is the first step for all of us, that yes, I want to make sure that I cultivate and understand where I come from and who I be. Yeah. And at the same time, I'm becoming someone new every day because I'm growing, because I'm trying to access these parts of myself that I haven't yet accessed. And I'm trying to open up these places in myself that I haven't been to yet. And being willing to kind of see all of it is so important. So I really appreciate your ability, but I know who your mama is, you know what I'm saying? So I know who your daddy is, right? Like, we have parents who come with us, they're like, look, just make sure you listen to the sound of the genuine within you. So, I mean, it's a blessing that we've had that kind of leadership from our parents, and inspiration from our parents. But I think a lot of folks get stuck because they're trying to be something. They're trying to measure up to something versus just walk genuinely. And
I think it's, for me in my own journey in finding out who I was, I think that before acceptance, in order to accept yourself, you have to love that person who you are. And I think that I maybe had some questions about who I was and didn't necessarily like who I was. Or thought I didn't like who I was, because it didn't go with what I thought success was supposed to be. To me, success in the industry that I was going into, you weren't supposed to be gay because that would cut you off from. I hear so many people telling me this.
People say that though, right?
You'll get typecast. Those are only the roles that you'll play. So I had a plan. I had a faker plan. You say we don't have no fakers, but I was like I had a faker plan. I had a plan that I was going to hide that part of myself. That I had to hide that part of myself in order to be successful. Yeah. And I'm getting a little emotional right now, even because it's so ridiculous to think that we as women, as people, as human beings in general, have to deny who we are in order to be successful. That is a falsity. It is a lie. And it is what I believed at the time. And to overcome that, I had to really go on a real journey with myself of self-acceptance, of self-love, and realizing that if you don't want to work with me because of this, then I don't want to work with you either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And having that be okay. But for a long time, I was just so scared. Fear is such a powerful thing.
My God, yes, it is.
Fear can, people are motivated by fear. That's what I was motivated by. Until I let that part fall away, that was the only time that I was like, oh, this is who I am. And this, right now, I see my life is lining up. My success, my career is lining up with me loving myself and accepting myself, and then we're on the right path.
And so many of us get caught in this fear, and I tell folks all the time, people are waiting to like not be afraid to, move forward and say, okay, I'm going to challenge myself to just accept myself and where I am, even all of my contradictions and all of that stuff. We're waiting for that thing to go away. And I tell folks, I don't know who I heard this from. I heard it from somebody a long time ago. I use it all the time, that don't wait for fear to be out of the room, to be out of you. Like, just step into it and just commit to the fact that I'm not going to let it drive. Like, if we're in the car, fear can be in the back seat, it can be in the trunk, it could be in the passenger seat. It's right there with me. Get used to it. Get to know it. Hey, how you doing? We riding today. But I'm driving.
Right.
And I'm not going to let you drive and take my life wherever, because you'll just find yourself, like you said earlier, all over the place, trying to please other people, trying to be something that you're not. And Samira, what I love about you, little sis, is one thing that I have always experienced in our relationship is just a willingness to tell the truth, just to be real, and at the same time, I love how you're able to say, I had a plan to not be real. I had a plan to just kind of fake it because that's what I thought the requirement was. Yeah. And so just being able to give light to that, I don't even know if you understand right now. I'm so grateful for you because you are releasing people, so many people who are listening, from wanting to figure out how to fit into a box they don't need to fit into, how to stand in a lane that does not belong to them. You know what I'm saying? And do things that are not who they are.
It's so many people that are trying to put you in a box. Don't add yourself to the list of people who want to put you in a box.
Oh my God, so many people. And when I think about this thing, it resonates with me on so many levels. But when I think about this piece about not being authentic, not being real about what our struggles are and just naming them, because see, naming them, I'm gonna go off on a little bit of a tangent. Naming them allows us to be able to make a choice to do something about it. Because so many of us are like hiding it from ourselves, or we're just kind of pushing it down. And so when we do that, we can't reckon with it. We can't tangle with it. We can't be like, what am I going to do? Or, you know what I'm saying? Because we won't even acknowledge it's there. And you can't change anything you won't acknowledge, And so for me, this resonates with me on, like I said, a lot of levels. But for me, even starting this group and this show and everything, talking about overcoming, I got a lot of feedback. And I haven't shared it with a ton of people, but I've gotten feedback from some who are like, that's cool, but people don't want to just hear about sad stuff all the time. People don't want to just hear about like struggling, or why you always focus on struggling, Aiyana? What is that about? Like, it's always about, now I am a therapist, so, that's kind of what I focus on. Right. It's kind of what I do, But at the end of the day, what I realized for me, and I struggle because I kind of started moving towards this and then I would fall back and not do it. And my comfort zone is with my husband. My comfort zone is kind of talking about romantic relationships and relationships of all kinds, but kind of doing that work with him because we've just developed that ability to do that work together. I feel safe there. It feels familiar there. But coming over here and standing in this lane by myself was calling me. This thing was gnawing. It was like, come on, this is what you need to do. And I was like, but I don't want to. And so I finally decided to push forward. And this is what made it really possible for me to like take the leap. And that was, and again, it may not seem like a leap for nobody else, but it was a leap for me. Okay, everybody got their own stuff, right? For me, it was recognizing, because generally how I show up is competent, confident. I know how to talk. I know how to flow. I know that's how I show up. I know I do a pretty damn good at a job at it too. Okay, I do. So I know how to do that, right? But the reason that I think I'm so attracted to talking about challenges and how people overcome them is because, number one, it gives me energy, but also because I've struggled so much.
Right.
Because it's like I can show up a certain way, but on the inside, a lot of times I may look like I'm comfortable, but I'm very uncomfortable. I may look like, a super extrovert. And I tell people all the time, I'm an introverted extrovert. Like I'm there and I'm doing it and I'm flowing, but I'm like, when is it over? Because I just want to go sit on the couch and watch TV. You know what I'm saying? So like I have had so many struggles. I've had struggles around connecting in with myself. People who follow me and my husband know about connecting in with my husband and our history and our relationship. I've had struggles in terms of how I feel about myself, how I see myself, and sometimes I've not always been very aware of it at the time. I didn't even know that there's a struggle,
Right.
So I'm realizing that the more courage and the more risk I take to see myself fully, and to see my whole world fully, all of my relationships, everything, that the more released I feel. I mean, like, this is what has been produced from my releasing the desire to kind of hold back and stay in fear. I'm sitting with you, my beautiful sister. We're having a conversation, and we've had lots of conversations, but we're doing this in a way that's helping other people. And I'm hearing from you in a different way. You're hearing from me in a different way. So I just cannot thank you enough. I really can't, for taking the time to share of yourself, because life is hard.
Yes.
Isn't that? I
Yes,
mean,
it is.
life is hard. It's beautiful. It's wonderful, but it's hard. And I just wish people would respect their struggle. Respect it.
Yeah.
Respect
And
their
know that
struggle.
everybody struggles.
Everybody's
And it's how freeing it is to hear someone say, "This is me," and then somebody else go, "Oh, well, I've been keeping that in. I didn't. That's me too."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like the more people are able to be open about their own struggles, the more we can take the shame off of everything, the fear away from everything, and people can just be people and realize so much more that, like, oh, we're so much more alike than I thought we are different.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you said that, I hear you say that once you got over this piece of feeling like, okay, I can't be gay and want to and have success in my in my chosen career. Once you decided to let that go, things started lining up. Did you say that?
Yes.
I mean, I think we cannot miss that, because it's like being disingenuous does not bring success.
It doesn't.
But when you actually start to be just like, this is funky, it's whatever, it's me, it's beautiful, it's whatever, that you actually start to get pulled into the path that you're supposed to be in.
Absolutely.
So talk about that. Can you just talk about that a little bit? Like, how did that happen for you? What do you mean by that?
Well, okay, so I think, I know when I first got on Orange, I didn't know anything. I'd never been on TV before. Everything was new to me, and there were so many. There were a lot of people on the show who were established, who already had careers, and there was one lady who she was doing an interview, and in the interview they asked her about, because she's very openly gay, and they asked her about people in the cast, and she named me. And this was before I was out or anything like that.
Okay.
And I remember being so distraught and so devastated. And I had this conversation with her about
Wait a minute, you said she named you. She said Samira's gay?
Yes.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
How's she go?
Yeah, that was messed up.
That's a no-no.
Really messed up.
Let me just do a public service announcement very quickly. You don't have the right to name anybody else's whatever. Fill in the blank. Whether it's your sexual status, your orientation, whether you vegetarian or not. You just don't. Yeah. You don't tell people's. I mean,
especially something like that, because your that journey is such a personal journey.
Absolutely.
And even if you know it for yourself, you have to be given it's yours. She took that away from me.
Right.
It's mine to be able to give to the world, to be able to tell whoever. She didn't know. I couldn't have not even told my mom and daddy.
Yeah.
You know? So anyways, So that happened to me. So that was an unfortunate thing that led me to something that was
said
even
you were
better.
pretty distraught, huh?
I was, and I talked to her about it, and that was, but that time, even though, like, see, good things can come out of horrible things.
Yes.
Through that, I thought was such a horrible thing, I was able to talk to her and realize how comfortable she was in herself, and then talk to her about it, talk to her about what she did for me, talk to her about her own journey, how she did it, and then realize that, like, oh, maybe there is a lane for me. Maybe there is a lane for me that, like, I don't have to necessarily do it the way you're doing it, but that, like, this happened. It was on the internet for maybe 30 minutes before we got it taken down. 30 minutes in internet lifetime is like an infinity.
Yes, it is.
Okay? 30 minutes.
People done snatched that
and
thing
so
up.
people took it up. People took it places and stuff, and it was here and it was there. Also, I mean, a lot of times when you're gay, you think don't nobody know, but everybody really do know.
When you told me, and I
Yeah,
was like,
she knew.
I was wondering
When you gonna tell me?
Finally, you're like, oh, you knew.
So yeah. I think from that one, I took a bad experience and was able to, you know what? I think like Out Magazine picked that up.
Okay.
And because they picked that up, they asked me to be on the cover of their 20th anniversary
My goodness.
Out Magazine issue.
Yeah.
The one that Obama was on the cover of the next year.
Yeah.
And I could have, there are two paths I could have taken after that thing happened. I could have said, oh, no. That's not me. I'm not. Or I could have do what I did, which is out of just complete nakedness, really, just being like, okay, I will accept this.
And I will accept myself.
And I will accept myself. And that was I never really had like a real coming out because Out Magazine basically was just like, we want you to speak for. I got something called a visibility, like the award from the HRC one time, and it was about me just not doing anything that was completely radical, but just living my life openly and honestly. And it's something that I feel like a lot of people can sometimes take for granted sometimes, that like actually walking out of my house and holding my wife's hand is a political statement.
Yeah.
That is an act of activism just by holding her hand, because there are people out here who are afraid to just be themselves.
Yeah.
The fact that I can just post online a picture of like me in a hat that says like, I like girls, that is a statement, and that is showing. I get messages all the time. I mean, this is going away from my career now and just who I am in life, but I get messages all the time from girls in Africa, girls in Israel, girls all over the world about how they cannot be themselves, but me and I give them hope. Yeah. And that is something that could have gone the exact wrong way if I said no, that I'm not going to do that. And that like path is also totally valid. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a lot to be able to say yes. You know, I could have said no and still been out in my own life, but said like, no, I'm not going to take the path of like trying to be a symbol for people or whatever. And I somehow don't know, but like, I walked into the path that was supposed to be mine. And somehow that pivotal moment happened when that girl outed me. You know what I mean? When something horrible could have been horrible. Yeah. And it got flipped.
It got flipped.
And that's when, you know, after I was on the cover of that Out thing, like people started on the street. People call me Poussey on the street all the time. And after that, people started calling me Samira.
Get out, Samira. Are you serious?
And I was like, I didn't even know people knew my name.
Was that?
Because it went from me being a character on a television to me being a voice.
And a real person.
Yeah.
With real success, real challenges, real issues, and I can really relate to you.
Yeah, I'll never forget. I'll never forget. That was around the time when people would be like, Poussey, hey P, what's going on, P? Like, I don't have no P's in my name at all. And then somebody came up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, are you Samira Wiley?" My whole name. And then I realized they don't just know me because of the TV show.
Right.
You know what I mean? They know me because I'm
made.
trying to walk into my path. Yeah.
There is no better way that we could have rounded out this first wonderful interview and conversation today with other than that, because what you just said is the thing that I want everyone listening to take away. And that is this: you always have a choice. You have a choice about how you will live your life, moment to moment, second to second, day to day, hour to hour. We have choices. You can mess up 1 hour and the next hour make a radical choice that's different, and it pushes you forward. It's not about getting it perfect. It's about being in progress. Progress over perfection is what I say in The Art of Overcoming all the time. I say it because I need to hear it for myself. I don't need to be perfect. I'm just in progress. Oop, I messed up. It's all good. You know what? This is me. It's a contradiction to what I said yesterday, but it's still me. We are all overcoming. We're all challenging. So I just cannot thank you again, Samira Wiley, enough for being with me today and for talking your truth, for being willing to do that for yourself first, for making that choice to live your life authentically so that other people can get just a glimmer. And like I say all the time, there's some people who are only going to hear it and get a level of liberation and release from you. Like they only can hear it from you. And they're like, oh my goodness, you know, when Samira Wiley said, right, when you had the conversation you had with the person who outed you, you got it in that place in a different way than perhaps you would ever have gotten it anywhere else. And just like everybody who's listening right now, there's something that probably stood out to you. There's something that really resonated with you. Whatever that was, make sure that you write it down, marinate and meditate on it. And remember that we all have a choice. We're all overcoming. We can choose. We can be authentic. That's all we have to do. But we can't do any of that. We can't do none of it if we don't stop playing and start pushing. Bye, y'all.